The same quantity can be added or subtracted to both sides of an equation without changing the solution of the equation. Here we have the problem x plus 2 is equal to 6. If we subtract 2 from both sides of the equation, we find that x is equal to 4. In example 84.1, we have a similar problem. X plus 5 is equal to 7. If we subtract 5 from both sides, we find that x is equal to 2. In example 84.2, we also have a similar problem, this time with fractions. So we'll subtract 1/2 from both sides. Then we have to find the common denominator in order to subtract from the right side, which would make that 3/4 minus 2/4, leaving us 2x is equal to 1/4. Now to divide a fraction by a whole number, we just use the reciprocal of the whole number and multiply. And that gives us the value of x is equal to 1/8. Sometimes our problems will have negative coefficients, like negative 2x is equal to 4. So we'll divide both sides by that negative 2. And then we'll see a positive divided by a negative, and we'll remember our same different signs rule for multiplication and division, and know that when we have a different sign, our answer is going to be negative. So x would equal negative 2. In example 84.3, we have a similar problem. We have negative 3x equals 12, so we'll divide both sides by that negative 3. And remembering our same different signs rule for multiplication and division, see that we have a negative 4 as our solution for x. In example 84.4, we have a combination of both of these issues. First of all, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides to get it down to our coefficient in our equation. And then we're going to divide both sides by that negative 3. And remembering our same different signs rule, we end up with x equals negative 2. So let's talk about properties of equality. In equations, we have the addition property of equality, which says that if a equals b, then a plus c is equal to b plus c. And the subtraction property of equality says that if a is equal to b, then a minus c equals b minus c. You'll find that a lot of the properties and rules that we apply to mathematics actually come down to logic and common sense. We also have the multiplication property of equality. If a equals b, then a times c equals b times c. And in the division property of equality, if a equals b, then a divided by c equals b divided by c, as long as c is not equal to 0. In example 84.5, we're just going to think about what we're going to do. Which property of equality do we use in solving x minus 4 equals 9? Well, we're going to add 4 to both sides, so we'll use the addition property of equality. So let's review. Whenever we add or subtract on one side of an equation, we must add or subtract on the other. This is called the golden rule of equations. Whenever we solve an equation, we always want to have a positive variable as a result. So when we end up with a negative coefficient, we include the negative sign, and when we divide by that negative coefficient, we remember our same sign, different sign rule in our result. When we add the same value to both sides of an equation, we use the addition property of equality. When we subtract the same value from both sides of an equation, we use the subtraction property of equality. When we multiply by the same value on both sides of an equation, we use the multiplication property of equality. When we divide by the same value on both sides of an equation, we use the division property of equality. As always, thanks for joining us at Jupiter Math. For more information about our math programs, contact learning@edugraphics.com.